Whew, oh man, Cuphead, you couldn't have come along any sooner, could ya? My poor Xbox is over here gathering so much dust, I swear to God it's about to straight up fossilize. I have barely even turned this thing on this year. Xbox just hasn't had a good year overall, have they? I mean, yeah, plenty of good games have come out on it technically, but most of them are multi-platform. Well, scratch that. All of them are multi-platform. There was just no reason for me to buy this damn thing. I was experiencing some real buyer's remorse when I picked up mine last year, seriously. But Cuphead does help make up for that a teensy bit. A teensy, weensy, eensy little bit. Okay, look, I'm buying a PC later this month, okay? I swear to God, I'm finally jumping on board. I'm sorry it took so long. Fuck this shit. But yeah, Cuphead. It's pretty damn good. Really damn good, in fact. It's an old school game with old school aesthetics, old school difficulty, and old school charm. And I'm not just talking about the art style here. But yeah, can we do like everybody else and just gush all over that? Oh my God, this game is fucking beautiful. The animation is right out of an old 30s and 40s cartoon. It's early Disney, early Warner Brothers, Fleischer Studios, old-timey moving pictures, see? And Jesus Christ, did they nail the look and feel of it all. The enemies all have stunningly rich and vibrant movement. Everything has that antiquated squash and stretch feel. And enemies, bosses, side characters, everything has just the right touch of the bizarre and the experimental. It really captures the earliest days of American animation, where the tropes and trademarks of the art form hadn't even been established yet. And any and nearly every idea that the animators could think of basically got thrown onto the screen in one form or another. It's really kooky and bizarre and nutty, but in the best possible way. And not only is this a beautiful game, it's a game that actively rewards you for admiring how gorgeous it is. No, seriously, with this game I'm reminded of an old British book called Masquerade. Some of you may know what I'm talking about here, but if you've never heard the story, back in the late 70s, an artist named Kit Williams was asked to put together a book of his paintings. But not liking the idea of just mindlessly thumbing through a coffee table book of his work, you know, without taking the time to properly appreciate them, what he did was he made a bunch of illustrations and snuck clues in the pictures themselves to, no joke, a literal buried treasure. So not only did that straight up force people to appreciate all the detail in his art, it effectively challenged and rewarded them for taking the time to notice things. Or at least it almost did. The story behind Masquerade's actually a little tragic. I hate to admit that, but Stuart Ashens has a terrific video about it. I'll leave a link to it in the description. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. The fuck does any of that have to do with Cuphead? Well, here's the thing. That difficulty that everyone is screaming about, you know, how stupidly, unfairly, face-plantingly hard this game is, you know, it's challenging. I'll certainly give it that. But it's not as hard as most people are saying it is. The thing is, yes, it's hard. It's ball-bustingly hard, but it's never unfair. Nope, shut up, it isn't. It's never outright dickish. As hard as this game is, you're never being cheated against when you're playing it. Because if you're paying close attention to the artwork, the backgrounds, and all the glorious animation, it clues you into everything your enemies are going to do, and you can act accordingly. Every enemy has a tell, every boss has certain patterns that they like to follow, and you can catch a lot of this in the stunning animation. Sure, some attacks are difficult to dodge, but every enemy broadly telegraphs what they're going to do next if you're paying attention to the animation, and you learn to memorize their patterns and such. It's a game that does demand a lot out of you. It demands a lot of your attention, it demands a lot of your reflexes, it demands a lot of your memory, but if you do pour everything you got into this game, there is no reason you can't conquer it, with good ratings no less. And again, the more you pay attention to it, the more you admire what's going on in the background and with the art and the character design, yeah, the better you'll do at this game. It's kind of uncanny. Like, I'm not going to pretend I know anything about visual artistry or the art of animation. Have you guys seen my drawing ability? I got no right to talk about that, but if I were an artist, I feel like this would be my dream game. Not only are these some of the most awesome looking 2D character designs I've seen in ages, but it's a game that full-blown makes art appreciation a viable skill for conquering it. Like, there's a part of me that wants to see art school professors make their students play this game as part of their curriculum. I can't get over the brilliance of that general concept. That in and of itself makes the game worth playing. But even outside of the artwork, the game is very old school. I keep hearing the Mega Man comparison, and in a small way, I guess I see it. It's a game about running, jumping, and shooting, and not too much else. But speaking as a giant Blue Bomber fan, no, Mega Man was never this fast-paced, this kinetic, this riding on the edge of your seat with its gunplay. If this game evokes any older game, it's Contra. Yeah, I know that's weird, but yeah, this game is totally Contra. Hell, this game actually feels like a weird hybrid of the best of the old school 8-bit games, along with a dash of level design and gameplay philosophy from Contra's Shattered Soldier, if anybody remembers that game. It's basically just a giant boss rush mode. There are little run and gun sections here and there that you can complete if you want to pick up coins and help boost your abilities. They are optional, but trust me, you want them. The real meat and potatoes of this game is in its boss fights. 19 of them to be exact. And like I mentioned earlier, learning their attacks, studying their patterns, learning all of their tells by poring over the stunning artwork and animation, it makes learning how to beat them an absolute joy and finally conquering them an absolute blast. Even if some of them, oh my god, they're so fucking hard! But again, this wasn't so much just raw-ass difficulty as it was genuine challenge. The fights are hard, but never unbalanced. When you lose a battle, it never feels like the game was being cheap or throwing a bunch of stuff at you that there was no way you could have avoided. When you lose, it always feels like your fault, not the game's. And believe me, for a game that kills you this much, that's a tough feeling to pull off. But the more I played and the more I looked over my own footage, I realized, yeah, I could have easily gotten myself out of a lot of those scrapes. I was just being a dingus. Again, some people are bemoaning the game's difficulty, and yeah, I agree, the game is really difficult, but it's never cheap. Hell, pretty much any of the old NES run-and-gunners this game draws so much inspiration from were way cheaper than this game ever feels. I swear Super C just straight up hates you, for God's sakes. This game, it doesn't hate you, but holy shit is it a stern mistress. God damn did I enjoy this game. It might kick your ass up and down the alley, but holy god does it make up for it in style, presentation, and panache. But there are a few rough edges here and there, and that's apart from the ball-numbing difficulty. For one, this game is really fucking short. While most people are gonna get their 20 bucks worth replaying and replaying to beat these freaking bosses, the boss fights themselves, once you do finally win them at least, do not take long at all. If you're like a shooter platformer godchild, then you might find yourself blazing through this game in like less than 2 hours. There isn't a ton of raw content here, and even if you aren't great at the game, this is probably something you could plow through in a weekend. Like a week tops. There isn't a lot here per se, and man, this may just be a new release problem, but I did run into a fair share of glitches and bugs. There was a good handful of times where I would finish a section of a boss fight, and the game would, need to move on to the next portion of the fight, but nothing would happen. Hell, there was even one glitch where I full-blown died, and the game wouldn't game over me, so we just kinda stood there for a bit. Yep. Nice fireballs you're spitting there, I guess. Ooh, I'll bet that hurts to pull off. Bet spouting 3 heads. Gotta be hell on your neck. You realize I'm not here, right, buddy? One glitch in particular literally kinda broke the game for me. I was on the second to last boss and I was about to have my ass handed to me when he went to do his main attack, and nothing happened. This basically allowed me to camp under his ass, and
I have a funny feeling I wasn't supposed to do that.
A few patches can probably iron out this stuff, but yeah, that's a few points off in my review. And even though the animation during the game is great, you can tell the team totally had to cut a few corners to get this thing shipped. For one, no animated cutscenes. Like, really? A game all about living in a cartoon, and the story is told entirely through stills and text? Oh, come on, that is a total missed opportunity. How do you make a game about cartoons and not put cartoons in it? And I'd love to see some voice actors get in there and ham it up all 1930s style. 23 skidoo, kiddo! You've got to lay a wallop on that daffy old Kaiser. Pulverize that palooka into the old Chicago overcoat, by golly. And when you do finally beat these bosses, instead of getting a nice, satisfying kill screen or explosion or, you know, a conclusion to the fight, they just kind of wobble around a bit and the screen fades to black. I feel like death animations were probably one of those things that these guys had to cut just to get the game out. But despite all that, there isn't anything here that's a full-blown deal breaker. For $20, you're getting a hell of an experience. It's an old-school run-and-gun slathered in a unique and vibrant aesthetic that makes looking at it just as much fun as playing it. Hell, 1930s cartoon Contra was totally not something I knew I wanted until I had it out here in front of me. And those kinds of ideas, the ones that really sneak up on you and give you a fresh take, are ideas worth praising. Honestly, I'm glad to hear this game is selling so well, because I would love to see a sequel to this game where all the little nitpicks can be ironed out and all of its best elements can be polished up even further and made even greater. Apparently this game had a fairly chaotic and troubled development, but now that Microsoft has had the chance to see it succeed, maybe they'll pour more time, resources, and care into making a potential sequel really knock us on our asses. Or maybe they'll just release another Halo Wars game or some shit. I don't know. Microsoft makes a lot of goofy decisions. I'm just glad we at least got this. Cuphead gets 4.5 damn fine cups of coffee out of 5.